What is going on, folks? I'm yours truly, AJ is Live of the Respective Angles Show, and I'm here to do a little commentary on a situation coming right out of San Diego. So, apparently, the family of a man who was beaten to death by another inmate last year at the San Diego Central Jail has filed a federal lawsuit against the county and its sheriff and probation departments. Relatives of a 38-year-old Dominique McCoy allege he was arrested due to a wrongfully issued warrant. Sorry. Then after the error was discovered, he was killed by another inmate hours before he was set to be released. What is going on in the prison systems? This is the reason why we really need prison reform. We need reform in general, because at the end of the day, as I always say, things got to change up. We got people that's inside there that's losing their lives for no reason, who are being arrested for no reason, who are being targeted for no reason, of course, and put in jail for no reason. And here we have the result of that exact same thing that I'm talking about right now. He was beaten to death by another inmate. So, the lawsuit last Friday was filed. It states McCoy was arrested for a probation violation, though his probation was terminated nearly 2 months prior. Despite the erroneous warrant, McCoy was arrested on December 23rd and remained behind bars for nearly a week before a judge ruled that the arrest was made in error and ordered his release, the lawsuit states. So, we're talking about a man who 2 months prior to this whole entire situation, this wrongful arrest, he did his time, he did his probation, he did everything he's supposed to do as it relates to whatever crime that he committed. He finalized his probation. And there we go, 2 months after, a warrant is made for his arrest for violating probation. How is that possible? Like, this has to happen some kind of way. And this is just not just by chance. And now we're talking about a man that he was killed inside of the prison while he was waiting to get released. Hours before he's released, he's murdered. Inside the jail cell. Wow. Just before his expected release, the lawsuit states another inmate, John Roman Medina, was placed in McCoy's cell and killed him on December 29, 2021. Medina, 18, is charged with McCoy's murder and remains in custody. The suit states that Medina, who had been recently arrested for felony animal abuse, assault with a deadly weapon, and violence against a child, should not have been placed with a prisoner like McCoy, who did not have a history of violent offenses. I mean, yeah, that's common sense. Let's be real about this. We're talking about a non-violent offender and a definitely violent offender. So, of course, we know that the two cannot be placed in a jail cell. It's not possible. Reason being is because the violent offender, there's a possibility that that violent offender could actually while out on a non-violent offender. This is the reason why there is population splits in the prison system. There's Gen Pop and there's the other things that, that doesn't deal with Gen Pop. I guess there's what's that whatever. Anyway, at the end of the day, you guys understand exactly what I mean. Everything is divided in prisons where it's non-violent offenders. You got your different levels. You got your different levels of security. All that, like everything comes together. So just before his expected release, a couple hours before he gets murdered. No, something more to this. This would have been a lawsuit nevertheless, either way, because first of all, he was wrongfully arrested for violating his probation, which he was never on in the first place, because he was off of that 2 months prior to him even being arrested for a violation of probation. So at the end of it all, yes, there would have been a lawsuit being filed anyway. Maybe it could be the powers that be that was like, oh my God, this is going to cost the city so much money because he has a case. And maybe it could have been that he actually, you know, was telling everyone that he's innocent. And maybe it could be that he was telling everyone, yo, this is going to be a definite lawsuit, because I know for sure in my heart of hearts, within the depths of my mind, within that paper that was signed the day I was released off of probation, I know for sure that I'm not no longer on probation. And I know for sure that I'm not violating any probation. So maybe it could be that the warden himself allegedly probably put a lethal offender with a non-violent offender, just so that he could probably show him a lesson. And this lesson went a little bit too far, so much so where now we have a man, a father, a son, an uncle, a nephew, a brother is murdered now. He's no longer with us. He's no longer living. He's deceased. It's over. And this all stemmed off of a wrongful arrest. Let's be real here. All of this stemmed off of a wrongful arrest. And we wonder, we think that the prison system is all good. It ain't all good. We have a family that's practically missing, that's realistically missing their son, children that's missing their father. And William McCoy states, unless and until it happens to you, no parent can truly state what it feels like to lose a child. This is coming from the father of the victim. Like all people who have been lost in the tragic epidemic of deaths inside county jails facilities, Dominique was working to a fresh start with the assistance of the available rehabilitation sources. He had complied with his probation requirements and never should have been in the jail cell where he was murdered. The hardest part for his father is that he's dealing with the fact that Dominique will never have the opportunity to show everyone that he had turned his life around. So Dominique obviously had a very rough past, a troubled past. And at this point in time, Dominique was, trying to turn his life around. And now here it is. He's in a jail cell, wrongfully arrested, and was like hours away from getting out. And then here we go. So yeah, the family should file a lawsuit, and should be filing a lawsuit with all the departments that was responsible, that's involved in this situation right here. Because this should have never happened in the first place. And it just so happens that it always has to be a black person this happens to. Once again, the system is rigged to where a black man could be wrongfully arrested, put in a cell because put in a cell because he was released and was waiting to be released at this point in time. But because he potentially, probably dropped a little one line to the warden, was like, yo, I told you that I shouldn't have been in here. Or probably dropped a little one line to the police officer like, yo, son, I'm about to sue y'all because I shouldn't be here right now in the first place. My probation is over. I haven't violated my probation. And he's been saying that ever since he got arrested. And nobody wanted to even look into the facts before he was processed and booked to see whether or not if he was telling the truth. Now, if someone knows for a fact, listen, and they're telling you, listen, I'm telling you, 2 months prior to this day right here, I was released off of probation. All you have to do is do due diligence and look and see if the system probably created an error and was like, you know what? yeah, probably it is that, you shouldn't be here. It had to get down all the way till you get to the judge. And of course, you ain't going to be released right then and there. Processing have to go on, paperwork have to go on. So you're going to be remanded back to a cell, back to a waiting cell until you get released. That's how the system is. It's a very horrible system, to my opinion. A lot of things have to be reformed. A lot of things have to be changed because now a father is suffering without his son. Children are suffering without their parent because he was a father. At 38 years old, yes, that was a 38-year-old black father who was in a jail cell wrongfully arrested and now killed by an 18-year-old violent offender. And to even speak to that situation, an 18-year-old violent offender, where is this kid's parents? At 18, you have done all of this? Where's his parents? And why did he end up in that situation in the first place? Why is he there? Why is an 18-year-old there? And why did you guys put an 18-year-old who is a violent offender with a non-violent offender? To my speculation, if he was put in that cell, that means that 18-year-old wasn't to be released in the first place. If I know the prison system correctly, because I haven't frequented inside there. I definitely haven't frequented inside there at all. But from what I know, based off of other people's experiences, that if you're being released out of prison, there's a specific holding cell that you're put in. You're not put in a holding cell with an 18-year-old who's not being released. Let's make this make sense right now. This shit don't make no sense. It don't make not one piece of sense. This has to be definitely investigated as to how that 18-year-old end up inside a cell with someone who's being expected to be released in the next hour or so. He was hours from being released. So which means that there was processing going on for his name to be exited out of the system, to be no longer incarcerated in that jail cell that he was in, or in that jail that he was in. But nevertheless, the question is going to be raised. The question has to be raised. What was that 18-year-old doing in that cell, knowing that this 38-year-old black man was set to be released? And my mind actually alludes to it could be that warden who felt some kind of way because, Dominique probably dropped a little one line, as I said earlier, in reference to lawsuit, lawsuit, lawsuit. Black people, let me tell you something. Word to the wise. If you know that you are in the right and you're dealing with a situation such as a white warden or a white police officer or a white whatever it may be, keep your mouth closed and keep the facts to you. If you know there's an out in the situation where you're going to see the light of day, keep your mouth closed. Never mention a lawsuit. Just know within your mind, within your heart, you're going to drop a lawsuit when you get up out of there. But don't mention that to anyone. Because that could be at a detriment to you and your safety wherever you are in the custody of these white people. Let's be real. This is ridiculous. We need to reform the prison system. That needs to be reformed. And my condolences go out, and I didn't even know this situation was a situation that actually happened, although it is a year later. My thoughts and prayers go out to the family of Dominique McCoy. And I hope they get justice for Dominique. I hope that his children get justice for their father. I hope that at the end of it all, that the San Diego jail facilities, that there's some kind of reform after this situation. It shouldn't have to take after a situation happens where there is reform. It should be before. These things should be preventative measures that should be in place for these kind of situations. Guys, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think about this situation. Like, share, and subscribe. Share this video. Let everyone know that this situation is going on. Keep the community aware and let everyone know that the Respective Angle Show is on. On today, we are doing something different. So, guys, be respectful. Respect God, self, one another, and everyone else. And the world should be a definite brighter and better place. Until next time, guys, until Saturday, maybe live this Saturday at 7 p.m. Be blessed, guys.